And we are live. So happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're all well. Today we've got the awesome Mr. Alan Evans on the call. Alan has just finished up with us in the 1% Blueprint. By all accounts, I think he smashed it, but I'll let you. I'll let him tell you if it his experiences. We're going to take you through what he's learned, his key achievements, and then some of his key learnings from the process. Alan's kind of taking 20 minutes out of his day to talk to us. That being said, Alan, before we jump off, do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Hi. Yep. So I'm Alan Evans. I wear a few different hats actually. So I've got a finance background. I work as a finance consultant, management consultant for a few different businesses. But actually, I'm also a coach. So I'm a life coach and a business coach. So
nice.
So yeah, it was good. It's good to work with you.
Thank you. Well, that being said, then let's kind of rewind a couple of months ago. I think you probably saw some of my content on Instagram, maybe one of my videos, one of ads, and then decided to jump on and have a conversation. What was going on with you back then that sort of motivated you to want to have a chat with me, a coach? What was happening?
Yeah, good. So it was on LinkedIn actually.
On LinkedIn, so yeah.
And I think the first thing I saw was probably a conversation a bit like this one, but with someone else. Yeah. And there was just lots of things that resonated that I could just hear in. I couldn't even remember the name of the guy that was talking, but I could hear things that he was describing, kind of frustrations or areas that he wanted to work on, and I just thought, yep, that sort of ticks a box in my mind as well. And I guess I've always been quite big on self-development, so always wanted to focus on being better, performing better, and just kind of enjoying stuff more. So I'm always curious, always interested to understand a bit more, and obviously everything aligned, and I just thought now might be a good time to have a look at this.
Okay. And what was it? Some of the things that he was saying that particularly resonated that made you think, oh, actually, yeah, I want to do something. Because sometimes when you hear that, or as you know, as a coach, often sometimes when you're coaching others, it's like putting a mirror up to yourself. You're like, hold up a second, maybe I should be listening to what I'm saying here. So yeah, what was that?
Well, actually, funny you should say that. I do that a lot. So quite often I end up kind of leading bits of my life because I'm trying something out that my client's trying at the same time. So yeah, I'm kind of always a little bit experimental. But the things that really resonated for me were, I think I'm pretty good at knowing all the things I could do and should do to be happier, healthier, performing better, more productive. But I don't always do them. So and it's always been a frustration of mine from childhood, kind of just really high standards that I set for myself, and then for whatever reason sometimes just don't have the discipline, don't have the consistency. And the guy I was listening to was basically describing, I should be able to do all this stuff myself. I should know how to do this, and I'm a big boy now. Why do I need someone else to tell me? And I thought, I kind of know all of the answers, but I need someone else, as you say, to hold that mirror up to say, what's going on for you then?
And I think that's a common narrative, like from gents I initially speak to, pretty much everyone goes, I think I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. And I think that's probably partially true. I think there is, you do know that there's things that you ought to be doing that are going to help your mental well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, all that good stuff. But it's about, often it's sort of, there's a whole like plethora of them all over the place, and it's been able to sort of pull it together in a coherent fashion to do that. Because you might go, oh, that looks good, or that's a bit shiny, I'll try that, but without any coherence to be able to sort of apply that. But then also, like you said, being able to, I guess, build in that the ritualization and discipline around some of these things to make sure that it sticks. Because you can do something for a bit, but then if it falls over, it's almost like what's the point, right?
Exactly that.
Okay, and so if that's kind of where we were, elements, well, I'll summarize and you tell me I've got this wrong, but kind of elements where there's more that you can be doing, that you want to be doing, but you're not really able to put it into practice and make it happen. Let's fast forward to today. What has been your key achievements and learning? what are you high-fiving about having coming out of the process? And then let's maybe dig into some of the things that you've learned that have enabled you to make that happen, both for yourself, physically, mentally, the whole piece.
Yeah, good question. I've reflected on this quite a bit, actually, just thinking about this call. I've got kind of a list of things that I've done before, exactly as you described. I've done them for a bit, done them long enough to think this works. This is really, this is a bit of a game changer, and then stopped. So I've got some of those that I've kind of gone again, and I haven't stopped, and so I've kept them going for, I guess for the things that I started at the beginning of the program. It's 3 months in now, and things I would never ever have believed that I would do and stick to, I have done. I've got another list, probably a slightly shorter list of things that I looked at and that you sort of asked us to do, and I thought, I'm probably not allowed to swear, but
swear, I swear these all the time. Yeah,
and cold showers is probably top of that list, and actually been an absolute game changer for me. And then there's been other things where I got stuck, so I probably went into them thinking, I've tried this before and I know what happens. I quit partway through, and I probably started to do that again, and then the bits where, so within the program there was kind of coaching modules again. Nothing that I probably haven't seen or used at some point in some form. A couple of things actually that I might steal, but they've completely reframed where I was with things. So where before I would have thought, well, I haven't nailed it completely, so I might as well stop and
that's a game over.
And that's changed in me. So it's like, well, actually, okay, out of 10, that's 8 more than you were going to do last week or whatever. So rather than look at the 2 you didn't do,
look at so it's looking at the positive rather than the negative. And for me, that's what you're just describing there. It's the fulcrum for ongoing success in any area, really, because it's not about being saccharine and sort of creating a false positive framework that isn't true, but it's just about being honest and objective with the situation. And 9 times out of 10, if something hasn't gone exactly as you would want, like if we've got that very binary on off, I'm fast smashing, I'm not, well then you sort of trip yourself up. But then if we can then lean into that, which is a bit uncomfortable, but work through it, well then you realize maybe some of the reasons why some of these things that you want to keep doing that make you feel better, they're falling over. It's not because you haven't done them right. It's because of your own mindset and how you approached it when they haven't necessarily quote unquote worked. So if you can realize, well, actually, it's actually okay, well, then that allows this stuff to breathe and keep going. And as life comes in and stress tests you and smacks you around, which it always does, you've got the bandwidth to be able to do that versus going, right, it's all fucked, which is where often we end up, it trips most of us up, right?
Yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly where I am now.
And what has enabled you then to get into that kind of mindset and that kind of state?
I think at first it was arriving at the calls, the group calls. In this, it's quite nice at the beginning when you're going at the back end of the call, so you get to hear everyone else. And I was arriving at the call thinking, well, actually, I'm going to be giving an update that's a bunch of stuff that I didn't, I fell a bit short on, and was sort of giving myself a bit of a beating for. And as you're listening to the call and you're thinking, okay, so everyone else is in this camp, and for everyone, it's a learning process, and it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And then by the time it gets around to my turn, I'm thinking, actually, feeling all right. Actually, I've had a pretty decent week, and so my updates the call itself would actually be quite transformative about the way I was feeling. And then the other bit, again, I know I've said it to you before. I think I probably came into it thinking, okay, kind of change my life. It didn't in 8 weeks, but it gave me that bit of extra belief. I've got a fair amount of self-belief, but never enough. And it gave me that extra bit, I think, that made me start thinking, okay, do you know what? Actually, there's nothing I can't do. So I've come out of it with more belief that I will go and change my life rather than coming out and going, I'm a different person.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because it's all degrees, right? Some people might get a bigger shift on that spectrum than others. But what you've said there is, for me, the most important part, because, and how do you get that? Well, I'm telling you now, so I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's what I think. It's like, well, you've shown yourself you can. I can do these things, and I've committed. That thing that I keep doing and trying, it all falls over. Well, I've actually lent into that, realised I can do it, pushed through it, understood why. Then you go, oh, fuck. And that might be in one microcosm, like doing a cold shower, right? Well, that behaviour and how you approach it and how you work through it then plays out everywhere else. And you get more of that kind of behaviour working. Or there's a big thing that's gone a bit pear-shaped, and we go, oh, it's all gone wrong. Has it really? And you go, oh, well, maybe it hasn't gone so wrong. And actually, maybe I can keep going. Or then maybe I can apply this elsewhere. And it's, for me, I'm telling you what I think here, and then Rob, you do more talking. But I think for me, that sounds like that's what we're talking about, because once you've got that, you're like, well, actually, fucking yeah, I can do this. And if it goes a bit pear-shaped, good, I'll learn, keep going. And I think that's a powerful place to be, because then ultimately you're able to push forward no matter what's going on. And if you are faced with adversity, yeah, it's shit and frustrating, but you know you can deal with it and still make progress, right?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I think there's something about that weekly heartbeat of the calls, where you have actually noticed a shift, and because you're talking about it and you've got no option but to talk about it. You don't want to turn up to a call and say, I haven't really got anything to say. So it makes you just reassess, well, where was I last week and what's moved? And the answer, if anyone does that in any walk of life, the answer is never, I didn't learn anything or I didn't do anything. The reality is, generally we think, I didn't win, didn't save the world, so I'll dust myself off and go again next week, sort of thing. Well, actually, no, you made some good progress, and when you do that 8 weeks on the bounce, you will on week 9.
And then week 10 and going forward. And if you've done a bit of work or done the work to understand yourself like that, that's nothing. You can't undo that. You've done it and you've been conscious of it. Do you know what I mean? So like when we talk about falling back into patterns of behavior, you might want not doing things, that's probably going to happen, because life will happen and it'll impact it. But you have been in this state and you've done that and achieved that, and you can't take that away, and you're never going to not be conscious of that. And so once you've had that happen, you can always lean back and reflect on that and do that. And I know there's an exercise we go through to help build that out as a process, but that becomes powerful. It's the doing. It's like, if you show yourself you can do it, how do you build good self-esteem, and how do you get motivation? Fucking do the work. but when you do the work, it feels good, right?
Yeah. And it's as you know, I've always worked with people that need help with their confidence, and the line I use regularly is, if you know you want more confidence, then you must know what it feels like. So you've had it. If you've had it, you can have it again. And I think with this, it's been that you can do stuff that, and you really shine a light on it every week. You've done that stuff. You didn't used to do it. Now you do, and you feel better, mentally or physically. You've got that now. You know that if you do that thing, you will feel like this. That's it.
Yeah.
That, like you say, that's the tool for life then. And there's a load of them. I've got a big long list.
Yeah. On that, and we've sort of touched on this, but I want to just ask explicitly, what would you say, and maybe it's multifaceted, there's a few things, but what would you say, from having come through the entire process, is your key learning and takeaway from having come out the other end now? What would you say is the main learning for you? It's a pretty big question, so answer it.
Yeah, it is. I think probably the number one thing is that sense of I've got just so much more self-belief that when things aren't flowing, that it's not going to take very long to get back into it.
Yeah.
So I think I've probably, like when you talk to people about weight loss or something, and you do that and you say it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it is. I think it's like that, and then you can just go straight back up if you want, if you're ready. And I probably have 3 or 4 moments on this sort of 8-week program where I thought it's something's, like you say, life happened. Something got in the way. Maybe I cancelled the call. Maybe I don't. Maybe I nearly contacted you at one point saying, "Can I do week 4 next week?
Yeah,
this week's a write-off." And then I just thought, what a ridiculous sentence that would be. That this week's a write-off, and it was like Tuesday. And I think it was that sense of, I know, if you want to, if you feel up to it, and if you're physically unwell or mentally you're really struggling, maybe you don't quite feel ready. But I'm rarely like that. So actually, it was only ever my own head that was going to get in my way, and I can flip that like a switch.
Yeah, and that's the powerful bit. Like we said earlier, being able to turn those bits around, because when a lot of people say I'm stuck and I can't see my way out, I don't know why. That's what keeps people stuck. There's things we all need to do. I'll put it there, like the little 1%. There's habits and behaviours, and structure and routine and stress management and deeper work as well, and we get all of that. And we need to do all these things, but the application of that, and when that happens and when it falls over, that's usually life getting in the way of it. Now, rather than pushing life away, we want to embrace it. So if it's happened, okay, great. Well, what can we learn and change next time? It's not, oh, I'm bad and wrong because it went wrong. It's like, well, something happened and I can learn from this and do it differently next time. But sometimes it might be just fair enough. Like, an example of this is one of the gents on the call. He got like a recurring back injury and he hurt himself, and he's like, and then, so he come on the call and he was like, and then I had 2 days and I went pear-shaped and I didn't do this and this. But then I said, I still could step back and looked at my journal and reflected. I've still done about 10 of the things I thought of, and that's going to be that bad. And I said, not only that, what happened last time you had this back injury? You went, and he's like, oh, well, I got injured and then I didn't do anything for 5 years and that's why I'm here. I was like, so you've turned a 5 year into 2 days. That's fucking powerful. And he's like, oh yeah, shit, yeah. Like, so yeah, okay, yeah, 2 days in the grand scheme of life doesn't matter, but he was able to do what you're turning, which was previously a 5 year wallowing in his own self-pity and issues, and that's why he's joined the program. So 2 days, bang, he's back. And it's being comfortable with the discomfort and owning it and just being like, well, okay, well, what can we do? Never really has to derail things. And when you show yourself that a few times, I've got a bit of resilience here. This is good, right? And that's the...
You can stay down for a bit and choose to be down, but it's knowing that when you're ready, you can
come back up again.
You know how to do it.
Nice. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Alan. I know you're a busy man. You've got lots going on. I think this has been a really interesting conversation. And I think what you've been talking about, for me, is what I get an absolute buzz out of. Like, some people join the program because they want to lose. Well, one of the things is they want to lose weight. A lot of guys, it's about the mindset and getting the balance back. And I think for you, it was more about, I know I'm doing okay, but I want to do better and getting the coherence around that. But how we do that isn't really the stuff. It's your ability to be able to roll with life as it happens and appropriately apply the stuff. And I think that's what you're saying here. And for me, that's what you talk about coaching, performance coaching. It's not about doing some shiny life hacks when everything's fucking hunky-dory. It's like, can I be grounded, centered and calm and do what I need to do when everything's all over the place? And that's the powerful bit. So I've really enjoyed this. And so hopefully anyone watching also has. So thank you for your time. Final question. If anyone sat watching this, and you're probably biased as well because you're a coach, right? But if anyone's sat watching this, they're on the fence. Maybe they're looking at, like, what you chatted about, going, I'm interested, but I'm not sure about a coach, and maybe a bit sort of reticent to get involved. What would you say to someone who's on the fence with something like this, and is probably in a similar situation to you were a few weeks back?
Yeah, well, first and most obvious thing to say is there's absolutely nothing to be lost from having that initial conversation. So I remember, it wasn't with yourself, but had a conversation which I think was a good hour of really exploring, was this right for me? Which was in itself a really useful thing, and actually probably an essential before you join something like this. So why not? What would stop you? And then the second thing is, it's never wasted time, wasted money, wasted energy, doing something to better yourself. And certainly on my cohort, the bunch of people that I met on those calls, didn't ever meet someone that was scratching their head saying, no, this doesn't work. So you get to win. It's just a case of how you do it, when you do it, what you do about it. But everyone can benefit from it for sure.
Thank you. And again, like, I'm biased, I'd agree, but equally, as you know, I think I'm a coach. I have a coach, and I would always sort of invest in that. And I think what you just said there, personal development, is great. If something's hard, you learn. If it's great, you learn. And so it's always a win. But I'm obviously incredibly biased, given I run a coaching business.
And me too. It would have been easy for me to come on here.
You don't. Yeah, coaches are rubbish. Exactly.
I think we're probably both driven by that same motivation, that actually everyone can get something out of it. There's more than enough humans out there to benefit from coaching.
That's it. Awesome. Well, on that note, Alan, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, hopefully anyone who's watching has enjoyed the conversation. I really have. If anyone's watching and they are interested in having a conversation, you can drop me a note in the comments or send me a DM. On that note, have a fantastic week on Wednesday. Alan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Cheers, Luke.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.